I'm gonna leave the banana pudding lid here and the towels in this box.
Okay. All right, what do I need to do when you leave, when I leave, what do we need to do? Just take it, so take it every,
I'm saying put this in the refrigerator.
okay,
Well, if there's room.
okay.
Is there only one refrigerator here? Well, you don't live very far. You have a refrigerator at your house, Mr. Curtis.
I do have a refrigerator, it's a very small refrigerator.
But well, that's why I was being serious. It's probably like an apartment one, isn't it?
Yes, it's a Hertz Pavilion.
Yeah.
No,
I lived there.
Condominium.
Will and I lived there. For
That's
a
what
while.
it's saying, about half of Woodbury, I think.
It was Cora.
It's Corey Burns, yeah.
Okay. So what time is it?
It is 6:05.
Okay. I'm gonna stay till 6:15.
Okay.
And then
It is 6:05 and I'm testing. Dr. Melton, can you unmute? Are we hearing me or not? I sure hope we are.
Yes, I can hear you fine.
All right, thank you, Marshall.
It's delicious.
No, those are from Woodbury Green. It's our mission statement. Mission statement. It's what it reads.
All right, Mr. Curtis, you want to give us a synopsis?
All right, good evening and appreciate there. This is Board Appreciation Week, so I would like to thank everybody and thank all of our board members during Board Appreciation Week. And you are sincerely appreciated. And I think you see a token of that that is on your desk right now with the proclamation by Governor Bill Lee about this being School Board Appreciation Week. And so I want to thank each of you serving. It's a tough job. I think most of you realize that, if you've not already realized that, in the days since you were elected. And it seems like it's been a long time since September the 1st. But and then when y'all were appointed, and then y'all subsequently won election, meaning Jennifer and Aletha. So I think you're dealing with the fun things. I hope you saw what I wrote. The paper comes out tomorrow. You'll see the press release. I think you've probably already seen the press release that I sent out last week about Board Appreciation Week. And I mean that from my heart. I appreciate everything that you do every day for our students. And I think the decisions that we make have to be in regard to our students and student outcomes. It needs to be at the foremost of every decision that we make. And here we are at a budget meeting. This is the 4th budget meeting that we've had. And so I have in front of you the general purpose school fund that you see there. There are 2 other funds, food service and also federal. And you will see these denoted in there, but there are two separate things, federal and food service, that are not part of the GP budget. So the GP budget, though, is your biggest amount of expenditures. Pre-K, of course, is in here too, but it's what it goes in, goes out. It's a wash. And you look at last year's budget, we are on track. You have a cash flow chart that was sent to you just the other day. You have the cash flow analysis, so you can see that, what you're bringing in. I warn you that cash flow is just that, cash flow. It is not fund balance. Douglas wanted me to relay that information, so I'm relaying it to you a second time. Cash flow is not, I repeat, not fund balance. So I hope that shared with you these figures. I also ask you to go back and check your budgeting 101 that you had when you first became, and we had our orientation meetings, and Douglas came in, Diane came in, Neil came in also. And what we did on that is that we give you a primer about budgeting. Well, now it's where the rubber comes meeting the road, is applying the budget that you have. And our budget is on track right now for this year. But there again, we're not concentrating so much this year as we are in FY22, because that's where you will make the decisions on how much goes into each category. And when you approve this budget, hopefully sometime you'll approve probably a preliminary budget in May, before May 15th, as it's sent over to the county commission by May 15th. So you've got some decisions to make, and these need to be made purposefully. And it's time for us to not just look at theories, but look at practical applications. So everybody kind of get on my same page, my same wavelength on that. It's time for you to start applying the numbers to where you believe they need to go. And again, we have X amount of dollars coming in. We've been very fortunate because of COVID that we've received federal dollars. We're going to receive even more federal dollars, which you well know, ESSER 2.0 is bringing in more federal dollars that have to deal with learning loss and facility improvement. So you've got two major categories that they're expecting. So what I'm asking you is to point us in the right direction on where you want us to head, and looking at learning loss and facilities for that 1.6. Now you've got that coming up will be on your agenda for your next meeting in February. So that, I think February 11th is that meeting, and you will have, I will make sure I get the dates right here. We have a budget meeting and strategic planning budget meeting scheduled for February the 1st. That's already out, and the Zoom instructions have been sent out earlier today. Now, February the 8th will be the following Monday, will be a regular board workshop, and then the 11th is your board meeting at Woodbury Grammar. So you got basically 2 more meetings before we go into the 1 point, and that you have to decide about the $1.6 million. And the reason I need guidance there, we need to get that turned in before a March 1st deadline. So you need to do that. So that gives me my marching orders, what to do with those funds. That Ms. Mullins, myself can go through those funds and make sure this is what you want to expend those ESSER monies for. And then once that is done, then we can move forward into the budget, even more deeper into the budget process for the GP. But we need to make some decisions as we're going toward the ultimate goal. And then we'll get into March and April, then we'll get the guts of the budget, and then we turn right around and have that submitted to the county commission by May 15th, which is on a Saturday, May 15th. The budget has to be done, and they'll probably meet with the budget committee that will meet, and they'll go from there. That's part of the county's process. And hopefully they'll be through early like they were last year. They were through in June, and you were too, in your budget by that point. So it is budget time in Tennessee, and so we can go from there on the line item by line item. You can do that. I will have our supervisors and our principals. I will get you the information from each of them about what they're desiring and their needs are in their departments. You heard them though before, so I'm not going to reiterate and rehash all of that. I'm going to submit to you their needs assessment. They've gone through, they've looked at needs. Like there are certain needs that the fire marshal says, you need to fix this at school A. Then we've got to fix those doors at school A as part of that. That would be what's really pushing that. You've got heating and cooling units at Woodbury Grammar that do need to be replaced. That would help the geothermal system. That's not in here, but I'm talking when you're looking at ESSER 1.6, you need to consider that. If it depends on which direction you're going to go with that. But we've got some heating and cooling units that really need to be turned from water source units over to conventional units to get them off of the geothermal system. So the geothermal system will be more cost effective and will be more efficient than it is now. It's running about an 84% efficiency. So there's where we are now. So I just need basically your direction on which way to head and what to do. I want you to be studying these numbers and come back refreshed and renewed on February the 1st, ready to start plugging in numbers here, and particularly about ESSER 2.0, excuse me, 2.0.
Can Douglas give us the amount of salary increase for next year's budget?
Right now, the governor is proposing 4%. Now, does that mean everybody's going to get 4%?
I understand that. I'm talking about the teachers that are getting their raises, the ones that haven't been here 20 years. How much cash? How much that's going to be?
Okay, the problem with that, he will not know that official salary scale.
I understand some of them
Until-
get their masters, some of them get
Well, that too, but we won't get the official number about teacher salary from the state until May. And we've done it in June last year, if you remember.
I do, but
it was June.
I need a rough estimate on what he thinks that's going to be. I've already seen it. I'd like for them to see it. We've got to come up with that somewhere.
That's true. And
And
the 4%, now the 2%, we believe there will be enough there to cover all certified staff. That's the one this fiscal year. But the 4% for the next fiscal year, that's going to have to be spread out. So everybody's not going to get a 4% raise. It's going to be probably half that. Same thing with the 2%. It's probably going to be 1%.
Who decides that?
The board and of course the director
And it can be
decides
up to 4%.
up to
The
4%.
governor said it at 4%.
The governor
Okay.
said- But here's what happens. That is given based on the BEP, the instructional portion of the BEP.
Right.
So if you look at your BEP, which some of you have, the
I have
instructional
this.
portion of the BEP is where is the teachers that they're going to give that raise to. Anything above that,
Like
that we have,
this
and we
amount
do,
of teachers.
correct, and above that, but we have above that.
Right.
And so anything above that, we have to come up with that or take that pot of money from that fund and spread it out among everybody. And we've had this discussion many times. We know that we're over teachers because of the way that our school system is structured. That is a given in everything. So
that's going to put a big crunch on them. They don't realize it, but they will. In a major way. I try to give everybody 6% raise.
Does everybody get a raise, or how do they do that?
well, that's up to the board to decide which direction you want to go in conjunction, working with the director. That's decided in that way.
So, but it's not like, and I'm asking because I don't know, it's not
Sure,
like with us, the president just says, this is what the military is getting. So we don't necessarily say you're just a terrible teacher and you just don't deserve a raise this year. You don't have to get one, right? Like board is,
you get one if you get it across the board. It's
Okay,
across the
that's
board.
what I'm asking.
Yeah, if
Okay.
this has mainly been across the board raised
Okay.
because the legislature wants to reward all of our teachers for working hard, period. And now we do have the bonuses that you're talking about, or incentive pay, Jennifer. The same thing there is through LOE, and we had the incentive, but we froze that. The board froze that because of COVID.
Okay.
And because we've not got any scores.
Right.
And since you don't get scores, then guess what? You don't get those particular LOE bonuses. And so we had to redo that. Marcia and myself looked at that, and we had to redo that and submit that to the state in regard to incentivized pay.
Well, that's part of the savings is already. And
That's-
the big reason that 19 and 20 was running budget was because we shut down completely because of COVID.
Correct. You cut down a third of the year, pretty well from
Which
March,
is the original.
from March, April, and May, you cut down 3 months out of your year and went virtual. I wish I could go back in time and tell myself, hey, go back virtually, but then we were under the legislative mandate then. Students could not make any lower score. They had to make a higher score and above to help them, and that was it. And so we did that. We went through that, just doing virtual stuff, and we were winging it. I'll just tell you. And I think most of our teachers are outstanding. Our teachers did outstanding work there.
I know I asked this question before, but of course I have this thing where I went to the BEP orientation thing. How many teaching positions do we have? And I know we're over from what they pay.
Are you talking about from the BEP?
BEP, how many over are
We're
we?
approximately 30 some odd over
Okay.
right this
And
second.
that's what I was thinking.
We
Yeah.
were 42,
Yeah, we're about 38, 39.
the high school,
We let 4 positions, a guidance person and some more. A halftime position went to, one of those went full-time position, went halftime. Courtney could tell you
No, I was just,
the fullest
I
extent of
just
that.
remember we talked about that.
Right,
And I don't
high
know.
school, have a chemistry teacher right now.
that's correct.
So if we have to cut, I think we need to be pretty lenient on the high school this time because they already sacrificed several staff members.
They don't have a chemistry teacher because no one's applied for the job?
He let him go because
Let her go.
low person on the pole or wherever, and we
Okay.
were
I
causing crunches and
I
stuff.
understand that. I knew at one time though, we were having trouble getting anybody to apply for that position.
I don't know about chemistry, but the
Oh.
hardest one usually is a foreign language.
Okay, maybe that's what it was, Spanish or French or something.
Yeah, the Spanish, she is now certified. Our Spanish teacher is now certified, so we're good. Okay. Anything else there? So you can look at these figures, but it's starting to get crunch time. We're at the end of January, February, March, and April is the huge crunch time on your budget. So you've already got budget scheduled for February 1, and then you've got another one scheduled for February the 22nd.
So they're not talking increasing the BEP at all?
What I'm hearing in Nashville is what they did at the special session. BEP was not taken up. They're going to do that during the general
He's gonna
session.
mandate a 4% raise.
But he is already going to mandate a 4% raise, correct?
Before you even see what.
I can't handle
But
a
he's
4%
he is saying that we're giving you this amount of money now. It's a local decision of what you do with it, but it is strongly, strongly, strongly recommended, kind of like mask wearing, it's strongly recommended that you utilize this, that boards utilize this for teacher raises. But it's going up, the 4% will be only on the instructional portion of the BEP. And then when they say that, then yes, Mr. Chairman, this needs to be looked at. And it would probably be helpful. It would probably be helpful if you were to talk to our representatives. Mr. Clark Boyd is our state representative, and Mr. Mark Cody is our state senator. And they said, well, let's not talk about elections, but let's talk about them standing up for Cannon County and saying, we want the BEP addressed. It needs a full-blown overhaul. And most of us are saying that. Those within my ranks as directors are saying that.
I think the salary of all of our educators that are being paid complete the exact amount.
It's $1,600,000 what it looks like. Instruction.
So you want that broken down, Mr. Chairman? You'd like to see
I
that
just wanna
broken
know
down?
The exact amount of if we're looking at a 4% raise, I need that exact figure.
Okay? And you're saying across the board, 4% for everybody in FY '22.
That's the way to do it. I need to,
Does that include non-certified as well as certified?
no,
Just certified.
just certified.
How do you do non-certified?
The board just has to say, we're gonna give you a percent raise on
Okay.
what you're making now, and that's all non-certified. The board can do that.
Is there a time of year that gets done? I mean, budget time. of
Budget
course,
time.
but- Okay.
And it'll come into play if they say, if they got a raise, that raise would be effective in July 1.
Okay.
In the new fiscal year.
Douglas can probably get us that pretty fast, can he?
Hopefully so. But now he won't be able to give you, he will be based on this year's figures, not based upon next year, because he don't know what the increases on the salary scale is gonna be.
Give everybody something to figure.
But we can do at least the salary scale that we have currently in play, then we can move everybody up one. And he's already prepared to do that, and he's done that many times. I tried to see if Douglas was on, but I don't think Douglas is on with us tonight. I do not see him on there tonight.
Eric, can you come up with something? You think we could? I know you looked at it pretty close.
I've been looking on, still working.
It's Dougie.
Obviously, I've been all in my notebook and didn't
Wait,
understanding it.
On, you said on Woodbury, replacing some of them, does that not fall underneath what we just went through with train?
It does, but they probably will not, they did not in the train thing, did not figure in replacing all of those, the 4 units on the gym, and there's 5 units on the cafeteria part. They didn't put that as part of that project, because that was going to exceed the cost of the project, if you know what I mean, Derek.
We just don't need to replace the units that they quoted to do.
Correct.
For all
We will need to wait, do the
their
ones what
insurance.
they already quoted.
Right.
Yep, that's the
we
ones.
pay for.
And there's some at the high school's gonna have to replace.
Not the
those.
family,
All
but for
our
them.
schools will have to. But these are those that were as part, they're still working, and that's what they want to continue them to work, that they need to be replaced.
The insurance on the teacher's single policy is 92, we pay 92?
That's correct. We do on that teacher as of right now.
75, 70%.
Correct,
family policy.
Correct, of the family policy. Now, that may change, because insurance may change too somewhat. But I think we've already said, Marion Dursky's already sent out something, I already sent to you, that this is what the insurance is going to be next year. That's pretty well edged now.
So we know,
So we know on insurance
that's good.
that we already, Marianne's already been on that, so.
Did it increase or did it stay?
It basically stayed the same. It changed just a little bit. It went down just a little bit on the percentage type stuff, but very similar to what it was, and has been for years. I sent that to y'all. You probably know what you're looking at, but I sent that to you in the insurance thing from Marion. Go back and look at that email I sent from Marion Dursky.
Did the heating and cooling costs, have they gone down? Did we save any?
We're going, what I was told, you would really have to wait until the summer to see the difference in the heating cost,
No, I'm talking about.
cooling cost.
because of COVID right now. Is it because nobody were in the buildings for a while and we've been?
I don't think that's changed a whole lot. I mean, we can go back in December and November and look.
It saved us quite a bit.
But on the insulation of the high school, we're going to save money there, and we used some more of the insulation at Woodland, so we're going to save some money there too, at both schools. Not so much at Woodbury Grammar because it already had the insulation on there, but the high school, I'm looking for some major changes there, Mr. Chairman. I'm hoping some major savings there. And then when we do the train, get through with it, we're depending on those savings there. We've got to have those savings coming about with train. So guess what? I think you're seeing already some of that. The high school gym lighting, is pretty well a good ways being completed. I've not checked with Mr. Nichols today on how much that they got done there, but that's pretty good.
And we've got another budget meeting Monday night.
Correct.
I need the figures that I asked you for, definitely, if not before. But definitely, so everybody can get their hands on them and see how
The
much.
exact percent of the 4%, correct?
Yeah.
All right. What else? From Douglas, exact percent of the 4%. FY for certified teacher
We're
salaries.
scheduled, need to know what our plans are on our buses.
Do we have, and maybe this is just something.
In regard to,
We're due, and that we're due, we've been buying one a year for quite a while.
we didn't buy one this last year. We're getting a new one because of
The
one
rig,
was wrecked,
that's right,
but we did not buy one, so we're down one.
I know. I need to know that, I need to,
All right.
are there any outstanding repairs, major repairs that we have not completed? Or that we know are gonna have to be completed?
As of right this moment, no, because we had 2 water heaters, yes, 2 water heaters go down at Woodbury Grammar this year.
What size?
And those were big ones. These were about $7,000 per water heater, 3-phase, they're 3-phase water heaters that we went ahead and replaced at Woodbury Grammar.
But they were original.
Original water heaters for the building,
That
20
made it
years old.
20 years, so
So they were,
you got your life expectancy.
Yeah, get that one going.
I've not checked today. As of this morning, no, but I didn't check at the end of the day. I didn't see Rick at the end of the day.
How's capital outlay?
You can look at your last financial statement and look at that on capital outlay to see where we're at. We're still okay. I say okay, somewhere, I want to say over 100,000 right now that we've not. But then again, I'll have to look at it close. I've not looked at it recently. I can pull that last financial report, we can get that for you. But no outstanding repairs. I think we're good right now on repairs. And you're talking about major repairs. We do have 2 outstanding, guess what? Max Force engines that we've had a problem with 2 of our Max Force engines that has, and Lisa's not on tonight. She's at a ball game tonight with her children. So I don't have Lisa on her. I could tell you exactly on those, but we're looking around $9,000 each for repairs on those. So it's going to be probably about $18,000.
We're right back where we started last year. I mean, we're in the same situation, and you're gonna have to cover these raises, you're gonna have to let some people go.
Do we have a breakdown, and maybe you gave it to us and I just have, it's at home, of each school, like the cost of each school, like, did he give us that?
Yep.
Okay, I
You
will,
should be in your notebook. Check your notebook.
I will,
Yes.
I was just asking.
And all
Okay.
of the costs for each school.
Each school, okay, that includes teachers, everything, okay,
And I will,
I thought you
I
did.
can also send you, Lisa, I've asked Lisa to go through and get the latest figures in regard to ADMs from each school. But we're gonna be down. And what I was telling you is that in regard to the budget on the BEP, they're I'm hearing mixed signals in Nashville right now in regarding BEP. Some are saying that they can't just hold harmless on the BEP this year because of attendance without having to go into state statute. So what some of them are saying is that you go ahead and figure whatever how your ADMs are, and then they would give you a supplement to bring you back up to what your ADMs were within this fiscal year. So that may come about, but that's the legislature, and I don't bank anything on the legislature until they leave in late April. It's what I bank on them. I am talking with legislators, nearly, not on a daily basis, but probably about every few days. I'm talking with legislators, especially during this special session. I was on the phone a lot with our legislators. But that don't help us right now with the budget, does it? with the E BEP.
We only have a few weeks. We gotta have the commission, we know what we don't know where we stand.
You won't know till the final
Yeah.
DEP numbers come in.
That's what I'm saying. He
And
said
you'll have to
April.
meet again in
And that's what
June.
they said in that class too, was, you know, we don't help y'all by, or they don't help y'all by doing that.
But it's by statute that we have to have it by May 15th. It's by statute that we have to have it to the commission. So what we're sending them is a guesstimate until we get the exact figures. But the good news is, looking at the projections from last year, that I think we're ahead of the game, but we're ahead of the game because of COVID. We're ahead of the game because our expenses have been less on our buildings. That's one of the things. And on buses, we've not had to run, but then again, I've got two of the Max Force engines, the buses that are down because of Max Force engine problems.
Are those any recall or anything?
Talk to the former board member, Mr. Daniel, on that, and Dr. Jay can tell you a lot too about those. It's just one of those deals where, you know, those need to, if I had to right now, if we'd got that bus grant 2 years ago, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. I'm still ill about that, and will continue to be ill, probably to my dying day on that we didn't get that grant for those, but to replace those buses. And everybody knows my displeasure. I'm not going to go over that again, but that, if we had to, we should have already replaced those Max Force engine buses. And Ms. Black will tell you, I'll have her here on next Monday night to talk to you about the bus situation. What we can do to get by or not get by.
Oh, well, I have it right there. Is that where that's at?
What's that?
Breakdown in schools.
It's in that audit, right?
No, well,
It's
no,
in the
no,
notebook.
no, it's in the notebook.
Okay.
That right there is the breakdown from
Yeah.
the auditor on the audit findings on
It's
individual
fine, I'm
school
sure I have it at home.
accounts. That's individual school accounts. It doesn't
Okay.
say how
I
much
thought
you
they were
spent.
checking
No,
the
no,
books around it.
no. But if you can look at these categories, and that's what I would suggest, going back and looking at each category.
What is a career ladder program?
Career Ladder was a program started back in the 1980s by Governor Lamar Alexander. And the Career Ladder is for mainly, these are older teachers, and they rank their teachers in career levels.
Okay.
Level 1, level 2, level 3.
Okay.
I am still getting a career ladder because I am still considered a level 1 teacher. I went through career ladder and got that. Some teachers didn't get it, but most teachers got career level 1. Some got 2, some got 3. So we were still paying some career level 3 teachers supplements. Dr. Melton, can you unmute? And she's operating remotely tonight. So
I was wondering why she had
who
a
was
mask
that
on.
who was that math lady? So Marcia, how many level 2 and 3 teachers and 1 teacher do you think it's not many, because if you look at that
No, we
part, there's not
Can
a
you-
whole lot.
No, I just didn't know what it was.
Can you hear me? Because I'm in the study room at MTSU. I'm having to be chauffeur tonight.
We can hear you.
Yeah, go
Okay,
ahead, Marcia.
good. So yes, if you remember Governor Lamar Alexander, he did the career ladder for teachers. That's where it began, and it gave teachers that went through a special evaluation, level 1, 2, or 3, as Mr. Curtis. We still have a few teachers, and I take a little offense to older teachers, but veteran teachers.
Veteran teachers.
Thank you. So I don't think we have any level 3 right now. We still have a few level 2 teachers and several level 1, but the State Department still funds that. It used to be that we got extended contract to give highly effective teachers the ability to work with students in tutoring and summer school, but they did away with the extended contract program several years ago. So there's no holdover on that. But as people are transitioning out of teaching and retiring, then our numbers get lower and lower with who's still on that.
Thank you. I just didn't know what that was.
But that will continue to lower. That will continue to lower till your last veteran teacher retires. And when they retire, the last veteran teacher retires, then you will,
It's not a lot of money anyways. I didn't know what it was.
this mouse is not acting too fun. There we go. Trying to see if we could click on this. There we go. Any questions about any particular program you want me to research between now and next week? So, Mr. Chairman, I have down the exact figure of our 4% FY 22 certified teacher salaries, our bus situation, and regarding how many buses we're going to have to purchase, any outstanding repairs or capital expenditures. Do you want me to put it like that?
Are we gonna buy any books or curriculums or anything like that?
Very important there. Dr. Melton will, and Remic. Marcia, would you unmute back again? Let's talk about textbooks. Good point that Mr. McMackins is raising in regarding textbooks. So you're going to have some textbook money because we didn't put any money in the budget this time about textbooks, correct?
Well, actually, I did a little PowerPoint presentation. I didn't know what the expectations were this evening, and that's one of the things that I actually put in there. I can share that with you after the meeting about some needs that have bubbled up. But one of the things, let me go ahead and tell you, I can, if you'll remember that I spoke to you back when we were talking about our needs and all the things that we did. I think I told you a little bit about textbooks are on 6 year cycles, and then math has been suspended for a couple of years. So this would have been the year that we would have had a math textbook committee put together, and we would have been adopting math textbooks. So technically, we're not adopting anything new this year, but when we adopt textbooks, it's for a 6-year cycle. So at the end of this year, our cycle ends. We pay for everything in the beginning of the adoption cycle. And so therefore, there is nothing to fill in with for math books for the next 2 years. Let me give you some examples of what's going on. All of our all of our textbooks come as consumable text now. That means every year it looks like a big workbook, but it's actually the textbook itself that the students can write in. So we don't have those consumable text anymore. We've got to replace them all. What happened to us this year at the high school level is Stephanie, our instructional coach, had worked alongside with our high school to get their numbers so that way we could order some extra and be in good shape with them. Unbeknownst to me, the high school changed their schedule and swapped Algebra 2 and geometry around. So therefore we ordered about 100 too many geometry books and 100 too few Algebra 2 books. Now, we could have swapped those out, but I had zero budget because last year the board needed to save money and zeroed out my budget. So I had no money for shipping to ship those books back and replace them and then ship them back. So Douglas worked with me. We actually, we call it gap POs, and we found some money in some old POs, and we were able to take care of the high school this year, but it took us till October to get them straightened out. Now, the good news is they're sitting there with some extra geometry books, so we're in good shape, but we'll have to buy consumable Carnegie books for Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 to have enough for next year. Now, Lydia Garrett's gotten involved, and she's gone around and scrounged to make sure that they didn't have extras in any closets, and she's preserving that. The same holds true for 6 through 8. They're holding on to any extras that they've had over the last few years. The other thing that's going to happen is that we're going to lose all of the teacher platforms and the student platforms that we pay for up front. So I'm working on getting some costs together. We only have 3 schools that are using Bridges, our adopted K-5 program. I already know it'll be $180 per teacher to let them stay on their teacher electronic platforms. And it usually takes, I don't have the POs right here in front of me, but it takes a little bit to restock those bridges materials for the 3 schools that are still using them. When we start a new dual credit class, that's an expense I had to turn down. I didn't know we were starting a new dual credit class in our consumer and family sciences. So I guess the parents paid for that. I don't know, because we didn't have any textbook money for that. If there are new classes that are in the pipeline that need them, we don't have them, then let's just say reoccurring cost for any other content area. What happens if we add another ELA teacher in any grade level? I don't have the teacher materials for them that we'll have to add on to. And that actually happened after school. We added an extra kindergarten teacher at Westside School. In my order, I had not ordered enough because I was trying to be very conservative. And then we had a teacher without a teacher kit. Once again, Douglas is very good and very great to work with me. And we found one of those gap POs that we were able to slide it in into the wire and get that taken care of. So once again, we can say there's no adoption and we don't need any money for adoption, but I'll go ahead and tell you another need, and we talked to Mr. Curtis about this. Once again, I'll share this PowerPoint with you too that I've sort of put together is any kind of support for teachers and testing. I know Lisa is just overwhelmed with data, but everything that we do is data based. Everything for testing gets pulled out of our Skyward data. If there's any kind of glitch in it, it doesn't get pulled. So last week, the ELL teacher and I had to work 3 days just in bits and pieces, but our ELL test data did not get pulled from our SIS program. So we had to reboot and then have to put a special order in when that should have happened. Then in looking just today, Miss Julie and I think she's online if she needs to talk about this, none of our alt students, none of our MASS students got pulled. So now we're having to go and put boots on the ground to put all that data together and send that in independently when it should have all gotten pulled. Once again, it's not sort of a finger pointing thing. It's just to let you know how important data is. And years ago, we had a person that was just data standalone themselves. And, that was just immensely helpful. I know Javen's been doing this long enough, but that person that we had at that time, I could just say, how many failing students do we have at this certain grade level or whatever? Boy, she could pull that data and tell me what school had the red flags on them because she could manipulate the data. Then I know Mr. Curtis has talked a lot about legislation. The other thing that I sort of wrote in is lots of new things coming down the pike when it comes to new programs that the legislature just mandated. We don't know what their grants are going to be looking like, but I had just updated that slide and I'm trying to find that right now so I can cover that. All the things that, just the new things that somebody is going to have to be accountable for and somebody's going to have to oversee. The legislation's got this new Reading 360. There's going to be training for teachers. They're going to have what they call a benchmark assessment pilot program coming down. Their Tennessee Literacy Success Act, foundational literary skills plan. Then summer school, they're thinking about 2 different models for that, a 6-week session and a 4-week session. Who's going to be the administrator? Who's going to get the teachers together? Who's going to do the training? Who's going to roll that out? There's going to be certain requirements for that. After school learning with mini camps, who's going to oversee all of that information? Those literacy and learning core training things that are going to be going on, and then changes to the promotion of retention beginning next school year in the 2022-23 school year. So lots of new things coming down the pike. And one of the things I'm going to share with you also in that PowerPoint is we did a survey of teachers on the new ELA, and my heart was broken. And I know the board had to make the cuts where they had to make, but we didn't have instructional coaches this year. For the last 2 years, we had been gearing up for this really, really important reading adoption. And I've been telling teachers, we're going to have support for you. We're going to have more support than ever. In the very year, to me, the most important adoption of all. Mr. Curtis and I can argue whether social studies is more important or not, but I'll argue right now that they
Reading is-
can't read. If they can't read, they can't do social studies. But we didn't have that support, and we surveyed the teachers, so you'll see about 3 slides of what our teachers told us. And the first slide where the teachers shared their thoughts really broke my heart, that they just didn't feel supported, and I feel like that's on me if they're not feeling supported in the classroom, because we're not there enough of the time to help them with an implementation of the biggest program that we've had and the most costly program that we've had. So I'll share that with you rather than take any more time this evening. But if you have any questions about that after I share it with you, just let me know. And it's in a Google document, so I'll be sharing that through your email and
So Dr.
Google
Melton,
account.
what the board I think is looking at there, where we had nothing in that textbook line, what would be a figure, and this is for you to chew on a little bit and to suggest, what kind of figure would you recommend it be placed on there where it says they're on 71, 100, and what would be 71, 449, 71, 100, 449 under the textbook line? What figure would you suggest to put in that for textbooks?
I'll get some figures together as soon as I know.
All right, thank you, Dr. Melton, appreciate it. So to answer your question, we'll have to get back with you on that. Some other thing you want me to look on textbooks, Mr. McMackins. All right, anything else we need to work on for the homework?
I don't feel comfortable leaving $150,000.
Capital outlay?
That bothered me more than just about anything I've ever done, I think, but that's what it took. If we get by this year with it, we'll be lucky.
I would say blessed, Mr. Chairman, if we get by with
I
that
think
particular
it's
figure.
Double that. And then you're lucky sometimes. With that. I don't have anything else.
I don't either. I just need to look over all this.
How about you, Wade?
No, right now.
I don't know right now.
Or any more questions or something? Throw it in Curtis and think of it.
Just email me, and as you go through there, or questions, pick up, text me. That'll be fine. I've got a couple that tomorrow's not as bad as my Thursday's going to be, so I will, or Tuesday, excuse me. My Tuesday's pretty full tomorrow, but tomorrow afternoon I'm a little bit better. I am talking with State Representative Sapicki tomorrow at 12:30. I'll be talking with him in regard to our budget challenges that we have with the BEP. So, and he's on that BEP committee as part of that. So I'll be talking with him exclusively tomorrow. So, God bless mine. Sapicki can give as much as he can take. I'll tell you that.
Where's he from?
Columbia, Maury County. But great, good guy, but they're trying to do some reforms. He's leading kind of a reform movement in the legislature right now. So he and my friend Terry Lynn Weaver are on the education committee in the House.
Dr. Melton mentioned something. We had a person one time that could tell us who was failing and who wouldn't. Numbers. Is that going to be something really hard to get for Graham School? We've got it for the high school.
We can, but since there's more schools, it'll take us a little bit longer to compile that. But most of them will tell you how much percentage they can, and most principals can tell you that. So we'll do that.
Was that Stephanie or was it Angie? It's Angie, wasn't it?
I think it's both of them, actually.
What was
but
that question? I'm sorry, I missed it, but I thought I heard my name.
Who could tell us about failures of that instructional coach? The coaches that could tell you about who's failing, who's not failing, and that
Well,
was
And we had a data coach at one time that could do that too, that worked with all of our input, CIS student data. You know, if I went to her and said, just tell me, you know, which school, where do we need to put our, you know, career ladder money when we had that extended contract money, we could look at our data real quick like that. That's why it's really important to have a great person. While you're talking about grading and all though too, I'm going to, at our next district leadership meeting with the principals, we need to talk about what percentage of the TCAP, if any, we want the TCAP to count towards a student's grades in 3 through 12. So right now it was 25%. We can do anywhere from 0 to 25%. And I would definitely want some teachers. I think Brad's on here, and I'll have some other teachers to sort of give us some input. I think middle grade teachers in high school would like from what I hear very informally, they'd like to have some kind of percentage on that so that students are vested in taking the test. Younger grade teachers aren't as much about that. But anyway, we'll get that back to you. I just want you to know that it'll probably be on the February or March board agenda for you to make a decision on.
And last year we went because of the year before that, we had some errors in testing on the computer because of the computer system. And we went back, Marcia, I think my memory, Mr. Chairman, you might also too, did we just say 0% that year? That was what, 2018, 2019, when we had the glitch in spring of 2019. We had the glitch. And so the board went back and said, I think the board, we didn't vote on it last year at all because we had COVID and we don't want to get any testing with COVID at all. Before we could even get there, we'd already said, you know, this percentage, but we didn't get any. So we'll have to do that February or March, correct, Dr. Melton? Okay. So that's another thing to look at on what you want to decide about how much. And it can be done by grade levels too. I mean, it literally, you can go down to grade level and say this, 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 and this. All right. Anything else that you're just looking through there that you want me to make special attention toward? Your capital outlay, if you want to look at that, was on 76,000, excuse me, on the last page, capital outlay. And you had regular capital outlay, which what are we down to there? So you can see what we put in there from last time. The reason you see those big numbers there on 707 is because of the LAR of the roofing. We're going to have now. Let me advise you on that. Roofing, what we've done there, we've only drawn out as much money as we've used. So when we had the mandate to return any extra use funds, we're not returning any funds because we didn't draw it down. We didn't actually use it. We've only drawn the money that we actually used, which is good. Now I can tell you that we had 2.1 million that we could have used, and we've used 1.8 something probably. So we've got that much left if we had to have of the 2471. You can see what we've got down there as 710,476 that we've not used there. So that was projected. So I think we're going to be in pretty good shape there. But then one thing you need to also remember, board members, we still have that roofing money at Woodbury Grammar of the metal portion of the hail damage. Now, I will tell you this. I think it's going to cost more than the $300 and some odd thousand that we got the insurance check from. Now, and then can get you roofing experts that can say, well, it's this or that, but when you don't fix it, then it's yours. And so that may be some other expense that's coming, guys and ladies, that's coming that we need to be realizing there. If you want to use that for something else, it's a gamble.
Here's the thing. If we don't fix that roof and something happens, it's 100% on us. If you fix it.
Correct.
If you fix it and something happens, it's still on the insurance company. I
Well-
don't think he can afford not to fix it.
Now, I have held up on that project until we got everything done with the other roof project. And we're looking at just any second, any day now, they're gonna come in with the final inspection report. Any second, I could get that. And then we'll have a meeting to say, go around the table with Mr. Nichols. We had a gas situation over at the high school. I said, I want that subcontractor back on there and check every joint, every part of that, those gas lines on top of the roof. That we got a leak somewhere because we're smelling it, then I want to know where that leak's coming from. And we've gotten, the subcontractor then came back and did that. But I'm close. We're getting very close to signing off. That is a done deal, completely finished up. And when that's done, then we'll deal with the metal part of Woodbury Grammar, because I want to keep them entirely separated. Now, the question is, since you've still got that $700 and some odd $10,000 left over, not really left, you didn't use it, could you utilize some of that on that metal roof? That's my
The
question.
commission that I give it back to them as part of the deal, Chris, to get them back.
But I didn't say we weren't giving it back. I'm just saying, could we utilize that as on the metal roof, that situation that we have?
I can't. The rest of you can outvote me, but I can't do that. I gave you my word. I'd give
Well,
you-
no, you did, but I'm just saying, you go back to them and say, we returned this, now we've got another roof situation. Could we utilize that funding since it's already there for that?
You can ask them.
Well, I'm not saying use it. I'm just saying ask. Now, they can turn me flat down and say, sorry, Charlie, you can go fly a kite in a thunderstorm or whatever, but, but I'm not saying use it. I'm just saying ask them.
I'm not asking. I told them I'd give it back. You guys can ask.
I can ask and be shot down. I mean, what else is new when I go over there? That's just be prepared. We got friends. I mean, friends there that can, and just say, well, we had it, so now we've got this other roof situation that happened with hail damage. Then what do we do with it?
We're winning. 46 to 28. In the fourth.
Is it still leaking behind those bleachers?
No, that I know of, because it was running down that wall and coming in and getting behind the bleachers, and that's where you got your deterioration there.
That's been fixed.
No, sir.
But it's not leaking.
The leak has been fixed,
That's what
yes, with the new roof, but the floor
Oh,
has
no, I
not.
was talking about,
The leak has definitely been,
we're sure that's.
we're sure that definitely has been fixed. Yes, sir, Mr. McMahon. I made doggone sure that was done. But before the final is, we will quadruple check that to see that that's done with Mr. Mike Ford, our roofing consultant.
High school hadn't had any leaks.
Not that we know of right now.
Nothing's leaking.
We have had, let me rephrase that, Mr. Chairman. We have had some leaks, but it's from the water source AC units and not from the roof itself. We replaced all of those drain inserts. That has solved all of those leaks. Mr. Nichols has not reported any leaks from the roof itself. Now, we do have, like I say, some that has leaked, but it is from water source units. And what's happened, the piping, you've got 40-year-old piping there. So when you have the two joints connect, that seal probably needs some work done on it. We're hoping to put the chemicals in there for the first time ever, so that those chemicals will then keep the system from, after we flushed it and flushed it, and then put those chemicals in there, that'll help to not corrode as easy. That'll correct it. Derek can probably tell you a whole lot more about that than I can on those water.
Be ready for the calls.
Be ready for them.
You fixing to stop strainers up and everything. It's great what we're doing, don't get me wrong. But you're fixing to break loose a lot of stuff that's not been broke loose in years. And you better be ready to be,
When those chemicals go in, be ready to get strainers to be, and we need to find and make sure we know where those strainers are, and they're probably in every single unit over there.
there should be a strainer in front of every coil on every unit, should be. And there should be,
Should be, is the
even
operative
if the
word there.
strainer's there, there's not a guarantee that the strainer's actually in the strainer. In the Y. So then if that's not the case, then you're gonna stop a coil, which is gonna cost you a new unit pretty much, because those are probably still R22.
Yeah, they are.
Probably
A lot of them are.
R22.
A lot of
It's
those,
great, we just gotta be prepared for it.
which that means more somewhere in some line item somewhere. Yes.
Or hopefully, no, that would be part of training, hopefully, if it messes up.
Well, that's where I'm hoping that can help us too.
Okay, who do we have left on? Neil?
Can you give us a date when we're supposed to be back with them? I don't remember what it was. I don't know if we settled. Did we settle on it?
Neil Applebaum, can you unmute for a second if you're there, sir?
I am here.
Well, nice to see you. Nice to hear your voice, Neil.
How are you?
And see you. There you are.
How are you
okay,
coming
now-
on your little project?
What?
How are you coming on your project?
I have to run some numbers into some spreadsheets and we'll see where we are. You want more specifics than that?
Do you have a date when you might have it ready?
I will have numbers for us all to look at by the end of the week.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
And you'll let us know when we can get together for that.
Yes, I'll send you guys documents to look at and then we can talk through it.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Neil.
You're welcome.
Would it be possible, Neil, for you to do that one Saturday so more of us can be there to hear it? Or is that out of the question?
I work whenever you need me to work.
Thank you.
Good
All right, let us know when you're ready.
Okay.
All right, Melissa, Diane,
Did you get him our number?
Brad, and Kathy. Has anybody got any
What's that?
questions?
Did
they'd
you
like
get him our
I
number?
did. He took a picture of that earlier today. I was fixing to say we have 12 participants, sir, Mr. Chairman, if that's this mouse will cooperate when I want it to
Dr. Melton
cooperate.
brought up an area that we're gonna have to look at, whatever the state's gonna put on us for this summertime zone. We don't have any idea what that's gonna cost. Or where's the money gonna come?
Well,
Are they gonna have
supposedly
to-
the money is going to come from the state. They're going to put in their budget enough to that 50%. Now, transportation is another issue. There's probably not enough transportation money in there. The legislature is going to come back and say, we're going to give you X amount of dollars for transportation to get those kids. Food service is going to, they're going to have it where we can feed them. Again, this is a 6-hour-a-day thing. You know, you've got 4 hours of ELA and math, then you've got another hour of RTI, then you've got another hour of play. So we're going to
We're
have
gonna get
have
the personnel to run it.
some PE teachers. Some of our PE teachers will have to be. That's a great question that many across the state are asking right now.
Yeah.
Where do you find the staff
Our
to run
teacher
it?
wants to go into the
However,
summer.
But however, the incentive for them to work is $1,000 a week. But the incentive for them is $1,000 a week. So certainly in theory, if not in practice, teachers will get $6,000 to work for 6 weeks. That's a pretty good incentive if you want to work.
What about the RTI for all? Have you heard any more about that?
I've not heard anything in the last little bit on regarding RTI for all.
It was proposed, I just don't know.
I think that kind of got lost in the COVID conversation.
I was imagining that happening. I don't see how.
In fact, I've heard things in regard to RTI that they would say, well, we're going to move away from RTI type of thing instead of moving more to RTI. But then again, that's conjecture by the legislature. I don't know. Don't quote me on that, folks, because it's more to come. I'm not a state legislator, but I do know a few.
teachers will have to decide, okay, do I want to fatten my bank account or rest my mind?
With COVID still thing, can't go on vacation, so.
For some, that $6,000 will be
Or teachers
enticing.
on vacation.
No, I'm just saying a lot of them won't because of COVID.
Hey, when you consider, Dr. Mel, I was talking about, and others have, I've discussed that. When you consider back during what, Read to Be Ready, Marcia, they got what, 1,500, is that correct? For the whole summer?
Stacy did that.
Yeah, for the whole summer, 1,500. So I am quadrupling that figure to work for 6 weeks. And here's what we're thinking. We're thinking right now, this is conjecture, this is still up in the air, but we're looking at being off right after the week after school, being off that week, and then coming back for 4 weeks, and then having off at July 4th week, and then coming back for an additional 2 weeks. Is that right, Marcia? 2 or 3, and then you'll have a week right before school. Does that sound right? But so you will have those 6 weeks in there, but it's broken down to where you get a little bit of a break. It's not like you're going 6 weeks solid, because I think most everybody wants a break come June. Okay, you have that week off, then you got the week of the 7th, week of the 14th, week of the 21st, week of the 20th, probably that week right before the week of the 28th, have that off, because you got the 4th of July on that Sunday, come back on the 5th or thereabouts, and do another 2 weeks there. And then you have a week off before school would start, 2 weeks off before school would start back. Is that right? No? What am I saying wrong?
So if I counted it right, we've got 9 weeks off total in the summer. So we could have a week off after school gets out, basically go 3 weeks in June, take the 4th of July week off, go 3 weeks in July, have a
Yeah,
week
that-
off and start back to school.
Yeah, that's what, it's another 3 weeks there, and then you're off the week of the 29th through the 30th, and then start back school then that week of August the 2nd.
It's
Correct?
my understanding we have some flexibility, if some teachers wanted to work in June and some wanted to work in July, the students could have the benefit of having the best of both worlds. But yes, we have to supply lunch and transportation and PE like you talked about, and 6.5 hours, 5 days a week. Our Read to Be Ready camps were only from 8:30 till 1 or 2, and we didn't go on Fridays, and we usually went just the month of June.
There's a lot more about that to come. I mean, the commissioner has done in the commissioner's webinar today, talked about that. There are more to come this week. So
Like I said, Brad's on here representing teachers, and I would like to get I have some teacher leaders coming in tomorrow, and that's on my agenda to talk to. And then I'd like to talk to some other teachers, middle grades and high school too, to see what their thoughts are. I think we can run a 4-week camp also. I think I put that in my PowerPoint, a little bit of a difference there too, plus then some tutoring.
all right. Any other questions in regard to that? But yeah, summer school, there's still a lot of stuff coming on that. And a lot more to digest on. Reading 360 is another phrase you'll start hearing some about. You'll have the literacy bill, the accountability bill. There, all of those bills that you can look in the latest thing you got from TSB just the other day. It's the summary of that. So you guys could spend a long time looking at stuff. It's not just the budget, but just looking at all kinds of materials here. Any other assignments for me before next Monday, the 1st, when we have our anything else? Mr. Chairman?
I'm good.
And I will try to get you the latest figures on, and you can look at those yourself. I have those latest figures on capital outlay.
Anybody else got anything?
No.
All right, thank you. Thank everybody. Thank you.
All right, thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Numbers just rolling all in my brain. Hey, what's the difference? I noticed on this thing, and I know you guys I know you're ready to go. I just